I'm Charlie Bright of Gold Derby, and today I'm speaking with Pierre Perifel, the director of The Bad Guys, as part of Gold Derby's Meet the Experts film animation panel. First thing I wanted to ask you is what sort of imagery did you try to use in this film that's normally associated with heist movies? What sort of imagery did you lift from heist movies for this movie?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, the sort of imagery, of course, we got influenced and did quite a bit of research in terms of heist films and the heist genre itself. But definitely, getting inspired by, the cinema of Soderbergh, obviously, that would be the first one to come into mind. I think for us, it was really getting the feel of Los Angeles first, because the movie is happening in LA. So how do you get that look and that feel while still being stylized? Because of course, as you know, The Bad Guys is a kind of a different style a little bit than you would see in traditional CG movies. And so, how do you capture that look, the Los Angeles look, which is basically all those lens flare and the white skies and the dusty city and the kind of the layering of the city and the bleached sky of the bleached path of the skies and stuff like that. And so incorporating this, but also using all the tropes of the heist films, and therefore a lot of it comes through cinematography, and so using a lot of the long shots, like long camera relays between characters and situations, definitely the split screens, making sure that you have like fun transitions between the character or the situations when we're talking about heist or the heist sequences that we did. And on top of that, for Bad Guys specifically, brought in my own how would you say, like influences, coming from more European style and animes as well, and so therefore peppering that in on top of it. So action sequences would be very influenced by animes and and the graphic novel type of look that comes from some of the more illustrative type of graphic novels from Europe. So it's kind of like it's a blend of everything. It's a big bag of many influences, but definitely in terms of the heist genre, it's like making sure that every sequence has its iconic color coding within a bigger color theory kind of underlying all of it, but making sure that you really understand and really have a very strong sense of where each sequence is happening.
So, we were talking about, what you drew from for these, especially like with the heist scenes. But the other thing I was curious about is the thing that to me is very striking about them is how they're edited together.
Right.
And I was wondering, what did it take to edit these elaborate heist scenes, especially when you're working in animation?
A lot of work. It's interesting because so at the script level, we would have sometimes rather undefined pages, so we knew what the character were supposed to be doing, of course, having the goal of each sequence and making sure that, our characters are each assigned a very specific role. But then how do you emulate that feeling of heist, and on top of that, layering a level of humor that is very, that I wanted for the film and for younger audiences, of course. And so what usually I was doing is like take some of those pages, do a little bit of a brainstorm with my story team, and kind of do like a task forces with a few story artists that would just go on there on their own for a few days, weeks, and really just like break down the whole sequence or sequences, and come back with a proposal, while really being referencing all these heist films. And so they would really work very hard on crafting this sequence meticulously, making sure that it really feels and breathes those kind of film genre, and come back, and then we'd refine that in edit, cut it, just making sure that we have also a soundtrack supporting it, and sometimes cutting it to the soundtrack. So it keeps that pacing, it keeps the dynamism, it keeps the energy, but still at the same time also having the stylization of those kind of sequences in cinematography already in storyboard in the animatics. So a lot of back and forth between story, script, and edit. like kind of a constant rotation there to make sure that we nailed it. And then we move on to Previs, and in Previs they would add, the precision of the longer camera, the longer shots and the drifting cameras that you can't really always do in story.
So you got a really fantastic cast in this movie, including people like Sam Rockwell, Mark Maron, Awkwafina, Craig Robinson, Anthony Ramos, and Zazie Beetz and Alex Borstein. What was the experience like of directing this voice cast?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right. I mean, this is an incredible cast. I really, we took so much care trying, like, casting these guys, because we're wanting some, like, a sense of sophistication and try to avoid the usual suspects for a movie like this, and so kudos to our casting director just to nail that casting. The first one to say yes was Sam, actually, and of course Sam is such a beloved actor, and the rest of the cast kind of quickly said yes to join the project. What was it like to direct them? And for me, it was my first experience actually directing actors, and so of course at first it's always a little bit of a panic mode, where you try to figure out, how to do it, because in animation, coming from animation, I'm an animator myself, and so the way you would launch shots for an animator would be just talking about staging first, the kind of like big stage direction, and then just go slowly deeper into the acting and making sure that your animators understand the motivation for the character for each shot and craft the kind of poses you want and all of that. For an actor, it's more like obviously on a sequence level, and also making sure then they understand where the character is at emotionally at this precise moment, and at the same time you're also directing those actors more than one sequence per recording sessions, and so you have to have a very clear vision of where the story is standing at the time of recording. But you also have to give the right indication that they can be emotionally available for that kind of for the acting that you're asking for, right? And for me, it really came down to connecting with my cast, or the actors, Sam and Mark and everyone, like on a bit more of a personal level, so I can really understand their problematics as a more like a friends or human, like, so we can really collaborate on just creating and crafting those sequences, and making sure that they would bring their own flavor to the characters as opposed to me dictating everything, and then just really just reading with them and trying to not read in a fashion that was too like trying to give a lot of energy to the way I was reading the other characters' spots. Sam brought his best friend to read with him, so obviously being an actor, he was a lot more suited than I am just to actually help Sam go through his sequences, But he was the kind of the only one doing it. The other thing that we did, and I really wanted to try, was like recording simultaneously these the different characters, and so having the many actors in the same room, so the same recording room. Not always easy to do in animation or in recording studios, because you're trying to just make sure that every take is very clear sound-wise, so that your edit team can actually just take out exactly what they need from each performance. But when you go into COVID, that actually helped us, because they were all sent kits at their own separate places, across the globe, really, and then we could just have them remotely record together, and that would give you that very very natural type of performances that you can get between characters, like kind of mimicking a little bit what you could get in a live action setting, But to me, really understanding their process, their personal process, so that I could direct them in a way they would feel comfortable.
So you were able, so you actually would like host them all on a video call and have them do the recording, so that they were able to do it, interact with each other
live, like at the same, like kind of like literally just playing off of each other. But like you said, like a Zoom meeting or whatever meeting, but like with each of them being either at home with their recording microphones, or in different sound studios across the country, just that they could record separately, but at the same time, because we're all like remote, doing it at the same time. It was
Well,
incredibly powerful, actually. It was really fun.
Pierre, thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you on our panel in just a little bit.
Yes, and thank you. Thanks, guys. See you later. See you later.